My name's Lance Taylor. I've worked with Bell for 10 years now, starting out as an RF engineer, and now I manage the wireless planning team. For the past few years, I've also helped support the wireless GIS and analytics team. I also look after the team that plans out the wireless capital build program, so looking at where we're adding LTE, adding 5G, upgrading our existing network, adding new sites, enhancing existing sites, being able to see all various types of data, whether it be how customers are reacting to 5G or where our customers are, where our corporate customers, trying to look at information like, okay, now that COVID has hit, where are customers really needing wireless capacity that was different than it was 2 years ago? And so seeing that on a map and overlaying those data sets one on top of each other in a very fast and a robust way is a huge, huge focal point for my team in order for us to plan our capital more efficiently.
My name is Jacob Strawinsky, and I've been at Bell for the last 2 years. Previously, I had been 5G planner reporting to Lance, but as Lance mentioned, the team has now split into two, and I am now managing the seamless planning and competitive analytics team, which houses the development of all of our planning tools, the competitive analytics that Lance mentioned, as well as the GIS team.
What were your challenges with the previous solution?
There were some challenges we had with it. Functionally, we were kind of pushing it to its limits in terms of the amount of data that we could visualize at once. We were challenged with the amount of data we could store on the server, the responsiveness, how long it took to load. There were some colors and formatting features that we had challenges with, but the number one that was kind of placed on my desk was the security challenges and the support contract was expiring. So, knowing that, we kind of had to rapidly figure out what is our evolution path. That's where Korem and Bell kind of work together to figure that out.
Why did you choose Spectrum?
So that out of the way, we had to look specifically at what our needs were, and we needed something that we could, scale out fast because we were up against a deadline. Actually, we had far surpassed the support deadline, so we had some security threats there, and that's never a good idea with the kind of information we deal with. I think the other thing we had to think about is the ecosystem that we currently operate in. A lot of our coverage predictions, I should say all of our coverage predictions are built on the Planet or map info kind of space with tab files and .grd files or .mrr files, and that's how we operate. All of our internal tools are built around that ecosystem. How we exchange files with our counterparts at different operators is the same story. So we kind of already lived in this space, and so there were some natural drivers to why we want to stay in that space, and the solution that was put forward to us with Spectrum and some of the other custom development that we already had and the capabilities we already had in the existing GEE platform, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. There's just so many operational benefits to sticking with that. Putting aside the capabilities of the solution, even just the ease of integration was one of the big things.
How was your experience with Korem?
What I am very appreciative of is the fact that we're not taking some off-the-shelf solution and then just bolting it onto a server and say, here you go, network. There were some options out there that we entertained that were more like that, kind of one size fits all, but doesn't do all what you really need to do. I think that's where really this Atlas platform really stands out. The ability to actually custom tailor the solution to our needs in a true DevOps kind of agile approach, right? It wasn't like we waited 2 years and then boom, here's your final product. We've been adding things every day, every week, every month. From the layering options to the customization of the themes inside the view, to the tiles, to the user permissions. Every time I go into Atlas, it seems like there's a new feature, a new custom, very specific, tailored feature for our network that you can't get off the shelf, honestly. So I think that speaks to not only how capable Korem's developers are, when you look at the quality of their solution, but also how well that their support staff and sales staff understand our business needs. right? So it's not just about how cool of a widget you can build, it's about having the right widget in the right place at the right time. And I think that's what Korem understood for us and made suggestions and made recommendations and tailored their code to ensure that they met those. I like the model that Mauro and the team have set up with a very, very intense and collaborative agile culture where the teams are meeting very regularly, talking about progress and updates on backlogs, tracking the status, and so on. So it's hard to find something wrong. And if there was anything wrong, I would bring it up and Sad would do whatever he could to fix it. So
What capabilities do you have now that you previously didn't have?
good question. So I think the big one that resonates with me was that signal strength level detail. So anywhere in the country, I can zoom in and load up files that are pre-generated on the server and tiled on a server that allows me to go and actually click on a dot and say exactly what that RSRP was for that given location. Whereas in the past, our staff would say, well, yes, you're in the coverage footprint of that site, but you're at the cell edge and maybe not be able to provide the exact level of signal strength for that given sector. The operational freedom that we gave the teams by allowing them to add their layers and rearrange their layers and create their own maps. Jacob's team has a full support staff that create, visuals, documents, maps for the entire organization. They deal with around 4,000 requests a year for various things like, hey, what's the coverage like in this market? Or could you build me a map of your IoT footprint? Or could you do this and that and that? And honestly, that's, even though they're not difficult asks, it takes a lot of time. You got to respond to emails and the file, document it, track it, record it, so on. So by giving the wider user base access to layering and making their maps how they wanted it on top of what, saved a lot of time. There's no tool or platform that has ever been able to visualize our entire FTTP data set. It's 12, 13, 14 million points with information, and I can see it nationally. I can zoom in, click on it, see when is my house going to get fiber or whatever, or what's this community's roadmap for connectivity and so on. I think that was a real eye opener. I've tried myself to do it with React and Python to try to find a way to visualize those points, and I just could never do it. Map info couldn't do it. Can't even load the file. Not only that, if you try to open that file on Excel or some whatever, you can't open up a $12 million row file, right? So it was really cool to see our story on one view, and I think that, in conjunction with some of the other technological advancements, is what really sold me. And Korem's ability to make a dummy like me understand it. So,
What has surprised you about the continued deployment of Atlas to the broader number of users at Bell?
The really cool things, right? We don't know yet everything that we can do with Atlas, right? We're just starting, and the tool has been developed in such a way that it's so easy for anybody to pick it up and start using it, right? This is what we love about it. We don't have to go through hours of training to get somebody onboarded, right? All they need to do is go to the page, log in, and in a couple minutes they're flying through. They're adding new layers, doing comparison, other types of geospatial analytics, right? It's really, really fantastic. And so far, people come with new ideas of what we could be doing all the time, things that we might have not thought of in the past.